Okay. So what did I say? I said, so what did I say? So I said this is the diagram which explains you how we are reading from the CSV file. So you are into this, we are reading from the CSV file. So the CSV Reader is a class which will read all the lines from the CSV file and store it into the list of strings. So the list contains line 1, line 2, line 3 like this. So every item in the list is a line. So now what I was saying, the processing code. So the processing code can be converting this line to a Pojo object and then doing some processing. Say, for example, you want to change some name, or so you want to change just update whatever it is, or you want to do some calculations on the every record. So that kind of processing, you always try to separate out from the file reading logic. That means this class, CSV Reader class, does only the file reading. It will not do any processing, or it will not do any saving to database. Its only purpose is to read the file, and after reading, save it into some data structure. So here I am storing it into the data list data structure. So now we are going to do the processing, so which is the business logic, converting to from the line, reading the fields from a line, saving it into the database and all. We will do it later. Now let's concentrate on the processing part. Okay, so I was saying that we should never mix the reading code and the processing code. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So we will see that I will write one simple code. So simple code, not a simple code actually, some pseudocode. Okay, so what I will do, I will first open the file. Okay, open the file, then put it in the for loop. Okay, so here in the first step, what I will do is read a line from file, then convert it into Pojo, object. Then I will save it into database. So what I am doing, I am reading from the file, I am converting it into Pojo, I am saving it into database. That means this single function, what are the responsibilities it is taking? Reading from file, then converting it to Pojo, then saving. So you are giving 3 responsibilities to a single function or a single class. This is a bad practice. You should not do this. Okay, so from design point of view, okay. So I'm trying to cover these things as well, so that it will make things clear for you. So whenever you are doing such projects, right, when you are reading some Excel or CSV, or you have to separate these processes. Okay, see, reading. Okay, so what you are going to do, read from a file all the contents and store it into the data structure. Okay, so there could be scenarios where you have millions of records in a file. So in that case, that option, saving all million records into a data structure at the same time, might not be a good solution. So this is the solution which is simple. I mean, maybe 10,000 records, 20,000 records is fine. Not more than that, because it will consume a lot of memory, because you are going to store everything into data structure. So in that case, what we need to do, when you have a larger files, you will have to divide them into batches. So first read 1,000 records, put them into a data structure, process it, and save it into database. So you do it in batches, so that your list will not grow more than 1,000 records. So that separating them. So This is a bad practice I told you. So you should. So what we have done right now is we have separated reading into a separate class. Okay, so that we will not touch. We will not do. We will not write any Pojo conversion or a processing in that class. Okay, so now this is what you should avoid. You should always avoid doing this. This is a very bad practice. So that's how we usually write the code, right, Shrikant? So we will write one function, we will read from file, convert it into Pojo and save into database. Right, Shrikant?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
don't do that way. Okay, so whatever I've shown you till now, right? So we have created one class which will just simply read from the file and store it into the data section. So I will tell you how to handle multiple, I mean, when to handle the larger files. Okay, so that we will see it later, but that will be a little complicated for you. So I don't want to tell you now. So now, so next job is, so now you have a list, right? So from CSV file, your CSV reader has taken it and put it into a list. So now, so this is a list. This is a list. So now what we will do is, we will have one CSV to Pojo converter. So this is again a class. So what it will do, it will take list as an input. So what is this is the input. Okay, and so this is what list of strings. Okay, so it will give list of Pojo, objects. So in this case, where is that? So we will take this one, right? So login email. So can you guys see this? So login email. So this is basically email. So we will create. So this is basically what it will need a list of strings from that email file and create what list of email class, list of email objects. Okay. So once you are done for a different file, okay, so for example, we had another file, right? So where we had this test sample, right? So in this we had, sorry, not this one, sample.csv. This had something related to some industry. Okay, so I will call it as an industry. Okay, so in this case, it will read. We will have a separate class again. Yeah? So CSV to Pojo converter, we can have a separate class itself for each one of the file. Okay, so see, I will tell you how it will help you. You will get to know all those things a little later. Okay, so what we will do is we will just create one Pojo class. So for that, what I will do is I will just create one package. So new package. So where I will keep all the Pojo classes. Pojo, or you can also call it as model. Okay, so Pojo. Okay, the Pojo is enough. So under this, I will create what new class, new Java class email. Okay, so let's go ahead and add those particular fields. So why is the Pojo class required? So Pojo class is required to store this particular data into an object. Okay, so these are the fields. So first one is login email, so which is a string. Okay, you can have the same names or you can follow some naming conventions. Okay, so login email. Then you have identifier. So for now, I will keep it as okay. What it is a number, right? So you can keep it as an integer. Integer. Then you have first name and last name, which are also strings. Okay, so it is a semicolon separated. It is not a comma separated actually. So string, string. The last one. Okay, so these are my fields. Then you have to generate a getter and setter methods. So you just select this getter and setter, select all the fields, click on OK. So all the getter setter methods are generated. So your Pojo class is done. It is created. It is a simple email class. So now what I need to do, I need to
Sir, modified should be private, no sir.
Keep it private only. Keep it private. I forgot to add. So once you add this, then okay, so your email class is ready. So now let's go to, so what I've done in this diagram, I have created a Pojo object to store. So now we need to create one class, CSV to Pojo converter. Okay, so instead of Pojo, what I will do is I call it as CSV to email converter. Okay, Java class CSV to email. Oh God, this is going to end in 10 minutes. Email converter. Converter. Okay, so now, see, I'm not teaching you anything related to Spring Boot yet. Okay, so I'm not gone into dependency injection. Those things will come later. But you need to just need to understand the basic concepts. Okay, so the programming concepts. So here, CSV converter. So we will have one function, public void. No, it is list of email. So it will return list of email. So what it will do, it will convert, right? So it will, so I will say convert CSV. Once again, guys, hold on. Okay. CSV to email. See, we can still optimize the code, which I will talk to you guys in the later sessions. Okay. So what will be the input? List of strings. List of strings. So the list of strings basically is your input. So what I'm doing in this diagram, so this is the input list of string. We'll go to Pojo converter and it will return the list of email objects. Right? Understood? Guys? Hello?
Yes, sir.
You are able to understand?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm doing, I'm just representing this diagram. So CSV to Pojo converter is a class. This is list of inputs, list of strings, the file contains basically. So is the input, and you have output as a list of emails. Okay, so now I will simply create one list of email empty object, empty list. Okay, email list is equal to new array list. Okay, and return this. Return email list. Okay, so how many minutes are there? 6 minutes or 5 minutes. We'll convert it. So here I need to read this emails, right? From okay, so this is email. I will call it as CSV. Okay, so in this list, I need to loop through. I will have to loop through. So for string line, so because each one is a line in that particular list, email, CSV. So in this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to iterate through. So first, what I will see, I will show you step by step. So here I will just do a sysout, and print it. Okay, so now the very basic code is ready. So here I need to write the processing code. So breaking down each one of the line into fields, so that we will see. So now let's start writing the test. Okay, so I need to test this particular CSV to email converter. So how do I do that? Go to okay, so you can do that by right clicking this and generate test. You can create a test here. So it's a JUnit. Super class is not required. Class name is fine. Everything else is fine. Okay. I'll click on OK. So if you see where it did go. Okay, it has come here. See, it has come here. CSV. Right. So let's just copy. So you need to have this forever when you are writing the test, right? So you need to have this @ Spring Boot test as an annotation of your class. So I'm writing a new test for a class, right? So you just put an annotation like this, and okay, so this context loads is not required. So just copy one test. Okay, so here's to email converter. Okay, here, so it is test CSV to email converter. Okay, so for testing, what I should do, I should always require the object. So CSV email converter. So I'm creating an object. CSV is equal to new. So is equal to new CSV email converter. Okay, so now I need to call that. So for a dummy thing, right? So dummy, what I will do is I will just create an empty string. Okay, empty string, strings, list of strings. See, this is an input, right? So this is an input. I need to create it. Either I can read it from the file, or I can just create some dummy text and test if it is working fine or not. Okay, so this is test data. Test data is equal to new array list. So I'm just creating the array list and I'm adding the data. So it's simple. I'm just creating the test data. That's all. Don't get confused. Instead of reading from the file, I'm just converting it myself, creating it myself. So 2 minutes on Dinka. So how will be the test data? So the test data will come from here. Let's take this here. Okay, and put it in the. So this is how it will contain. Your data will be there, right? So list lo ilage untundi data when you load it from the file. అర్థమవుతుందా? అర్థం కాలేదంటే మళ్ళీ అడగండి చెప్తాను.
Yes sir, అర్థమవుతుంది.
So there is nothing big here. Okay, so the meeting is going to end. సో ఫస్ట్ లైన్ స్కిప్ చేశాను నేను. ఫస్ట్ లైన్ కూడా ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, దాన్ని పెడతాం. Let's not miss anything. So I'm just creating this dummy test data. Okay, so we will test it with different kind of data. I will show you how to do that. So unit test cases are ikkada ayipotha unnai. So you are learning unit test casing here. Unit test cases, which nobody knows these days. They struggle to do. Writing unit test cases is a big problem. So I'm teaching you guys the year itself. Just like this. What is it? So your test data is ready. So let me schedule one more. Okay, let us do this. So this is one thing. So what I'm going to do is I will call this function and convert CSV to HTML, pass this test data. So this actually will come from the file, right? So this is the file data. Okay, so this is the beauty of separating your CSV, the converter into a separate class, so that you can test it independently. So you don't need a CSV file reader here because you are just converting it. So this should print. This should print. Okay, let me generate. Okay, stop this now. Okay, we can actually run it. Let's run it. So it will print all the lines. Okay, so this is the output what we got. Okay, so I ran this test case. Okay, so it is going to this function. So you want to know how to do? You guys know how to do single step debugging? Huh? Debugging ela cheyadam telusa? No, guys. You know how to do debugging? Okay. No. Okay. Fine. So I will show you that. So see, wherever you need to put a breakpoint. Okay. So the breakpoint is important one where your control will stop. So put a breakpoint here. Okay. So this breakpoint and go click here and debug. Okay. So you don't run, you debug. So here, let it run. So this process debugging will help you to find the bugs. So you can easily do a debugging. So now the control has come here. You can see the tick mark here. Okay, so after that, there is one menu here which will get enabled. Okay, it is still not enabled. I will show you that. Okay, so this debugger menu is enabled. You can see this, right? The step over, this is step into, then you have force step into, then step out, then run to the cursor. Okay, I will show you each one of them. See, now you have this object. So you step over this. Step over means it will execute this line. Do a step over. It will come to the next line. Here also you do a step over. I don't want to get into that function. Do a step over again. So step over, step over, step over, step over. So now this test data contains how many? 5 lines. So you can test this. The variables are listed here. You see? So this is a list of strings. Okay, so you can imagine. So this is a list. 0th element will have the first line. First line will have a first line. Okay, sorry, second line. Okay, so like this, it goes on. Okay, so you can watch the variables. You are watching the variables basically. Now I will get into this function. I want to know what is happening in this function. So for that, you don't use step over. See, step over means it will execute that function and move to the next line. But I want to see get into that function. So use step into. Okay, it will go into see. It has come into file. Okay, so you can watch now. Email CSV, the input parameter has 5 lines. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm just printing it, right? So go step by step. Okay, so it will repeat 5 times. First time it has done, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. Okay, so it is done. So email list, because I'm not adding anything here, right? So email list will contain 0. I'm not adding anything into it. So empty list will come. Okay, so this is how you need to see what is happening in the function. So we have written first test case, okay, but it actually doesn't test anything. Okay, so what we can do is see what is testing? Basically, testing your code with a known input. So what does that mean? Let's go to the test. So what is the known input here? So known input is basically that you have 5 elements in the list. So your input has 5 elements in the list. Okay. So the output also should contain what? It should contain 5 Pojo objects. The output list. Okay. So what is this? See, the convert CSV email. So I will stop the debugging here, the code here. Go to here. Okay. And you have this function and it will return list of email. So I need to store it. List of email. Okay, right now it is only returning you the empty list, right? So, okay, email list is equal to this. So this is the Pojo objects. So I know it should contain what? 5 elements. If there are no 5 elements, that means there is some mistake, some bug in the function. Convert CSV to email function. Okay, so assert, there is something called as assert dot what is that? Assert equals. Assert equals. So this function, what does it do? It will check the. Okay, I will show you the parameters. Assert equals short. Okay, maybe it is not the right time to explain you guys that these methods, because I have to cover unit testing separately. Okay, so I will just put on the list. So there are 5 elements in the list. I also need what is the actual action is basically this list, right? So email dot size. Say actual ante emi. See, whatever that is returned from this function is the actual output. Okay, but I know that expected result should contain 5 elements. Okay, there should be 5 elements in the output email list as well. Okay, so the actual is what is that is returned from the function. So now, if you go and see the email converter, I'm not adding anything to this email list. It will contain 0 elements. So what will this test do? Test will check this email list, which is containing 0 elements now, and there is I am expecting 5, but it is only returning 0 elements. That means there is some bug. There is a bug, right? We have not implemented it fully. There is a bug. Okay, so this test case should fail. See, assert equals what it will do, it will compare the expected value with the actual value. So this is expected and this is what is returning from the function. The size. So you are basically checking the size of the input and comparing it with the size of the output. If I have 5 lines, in the input, I should receive 5 lines. Okay, so if they are not equal, it will throw an error that the test case has failed. Now let's go and run this. Run it. So test case should fail. So red color, it will show red color. Okay, so okay, yellow color it is showing. You see this? So it is printed. This is what is printing in the function. So expected is 5, actually is 0. Okay, so this specific particular test case has failed. Now, what I will do is I will go and see this is also part of the test-driven approach, which you guys don't know. Okay, so we are writing the test case and writing the code and testing it immediately. So now let's go and fix it. What I will do here, I will create one email object for every line. Email is equal to new email, and I will add it to the email list dot add email. Okay, now for every line you have one email object. Okay, and you are adding it to the email list. That means what happens to your test? Will it pass or fail? This one. So what is the output? What is the output of this function? It is a list of email. Now that I have added for every line I have added each object. That means what will happen? It will contain how many items? 5 items, right?
Yes, sir.
So now this should pass, but still we are not fixed. That's not actual expected output. So we need to write additional steps in the test case. I will show you how to do that. Run test. So this will pass. This will pass, but it's not correct, right? It should not pass. It should not pass because the email doesn't contain any data at all. Because you are not filling up the file, the text to the particular object. So it has passed. It is not correct. You need to test additional things. So what is that you should test? That first line, okay, the first line, whatever here, should contain login email. Okay, so I will show you that. Assert equals, okay, so the expected should be login email. Okay, let's not test that. We will test this. ఇది కొంచెం కన్ఫ్యూజింగ్ గా ఉంటుంది, but don't worry. We'll get it clear more as we write more test cases. So this is what is expected, and that is present in what? It is present in the 0 and 1. So list of 1. So list, what is that? Test data. No, sorry. Email list dot get at index 0 or 1. Sorry. So this is, see, basically distro. This is index 0. Then this is index 1. Then index 2. Right? See, this is how you count, right? Always the list starts from 0. So the first element, the element at index 1 should contain the email Laura, whatever that is, that is present here, right? So this should match. Then only your test case will pass. Now you can add additional what do you say? Say for example, I also want to check the last element. So the last element is what? This one. Well, in the last element, you should always contain this email. Okay. So this is how you test your code. So now these things should fail. So this is 4. So because the index is 4. So this element, so the email list of 4th element should contain Jamie, and the name, the email should contain this. See, this will pass. This condition will pass because it has 5 elements. So even the test input has 5 elements, and the output element has also 5 elements. This will pass. But here it will fail because we are not initializing, right? So we are not reading the line and we are not initializing it. Okay, so now let's run this. This test case should fail. So we are writing the test case. Now we are going to fix it. How to fix it? We will have to write the code. Actual code we will have to write. This has to fail. It has failed. Okay. So see, first one, expected Lara example.com. Actual, what you are getting is simple. See, you need to have a toString method. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I should have actually get the email name, right? So here I am not comparing it with email name. see dot get login email, right? Isn't it? I need to check the email, right? With this value. I was not checking that. Get login email. Okay, so now let's run again. Again, it should fail because there is no data in that object. అర్థమవుతోందా? See others, Aparna, Babji, Naveen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
అపర్ణ గారి నుంచి రాలేదు.
Yes, sir.
అర్థమవుతుందమ్మా? లేదా? యాక్చువల్లీ నాకు వినపడతారు మోస్ట్లీ ఏదో ప్రాబ్లం ఉండాలి. ఓకే, సో ఎక్స్పెక్టెడ్ ఈస్ Laura example.com at, but whatever you are getting is null. Okay, so this is one test case which is now we need to pass this in the test case. So how will it pass? Only when you read, when you finish your reading code. So now what we will do is we will write that code. Okay, so and make that test case pass. Okay, so you have a test case and you have a code. You are writing the test case before you write the code. This is test-driven development. So test-driven development lo em chesaru, first you write the test case, then you make that test case fail. We have made it fail, right? Because you have not written the code at all. Then we are going to write the code to fix this test case. Fix means what? To pass that test case. So to pass that test case, I will have to read the line and fill in the data into the objects, right? So now let's read it. Okay, so before that I want to make you guys understand, we need to skip the first line. Okay, so for that what I will do is, if, okay, so let me initialize one counter. I will call it as line number. Line number is equal to 0. Okay, that means there are no lines. Now, if line number is 0, equals to 0. If line number is equal to 0, that means it is a first line. So what I will have to do, I will have to skip it. Okay, skip means we will not do anything. Line number plus plus. So I will have to increment, otherwise it will never get executed. So line number ni increment chestunna. So line number is plus equals 1. You know this operator, right? Plus equals 1.
Yes, sir. Increment.
Increment. So I will have to increment, saying that I am moving to the next line. Only if it is else if it is a line greater than 0. Okay, the first line other than first line, I am going to process it. The first line I am going to ignore. Okay, what is it? Okay, so only the first line, so ignore the first line. Ignore the first line. Okay, all other lines I am going to process. Now, see, we had one condition. What was that condition? See, if we are processing, see, in this example, in the test case, we had what? 5 lines, right? So this will be executed, and the first line will be ignored because it is a header line. So now, how many objects should be there? The 4 objects will be there, right? So if you have 5 lines in the file, you will have 4 objects because you are ignoring the first line. But here, what is the condition we are having? Expected of 5. We assume that the list of input, if the input contains 5 lines, the output should also contain 5 lines. So this is a wrong test case. So we'll have to change it. Okay. So the expected is 4 because you have 5 lines in the input the object or the output object should contain only 4 items, because you have only the 4 objects, because we are ignoring the first line. Okay, so what will happen if I put only 5 and check? Objectively it will fail. Run it and see. See, you have modified from say code and you have executed test case. Okay. See, after you change the code, definitely some test cases will fail. So when they fail, you have to go and fix your code. So that's how the test-driven approach of learning. See, expected is 5, actually is 4, because you have ignored the first line, right? So you are getting only those 4 lines here. You see this print. Are you guys able to understand? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. Okay. So, Aparna, you understood, right? I expect some answer here. Okay. Fine. Okay. Otherwise, you can go through the video again. So I need to change this test case because I am expecting only 4 lines, 4 objects. So is it boring or interesting? You answer really.
Interesting, sir.
Interesting. Okay. So now the test case has failed again because of some other reason, because we have not filled the data here, right? So now what we need to do is we need to go and fix it, because we need to fix the failed test case. So let's go to the converter. Now is the important part. Okay. So I will use split function. Okay. So the split function, where is it? In which class? So I need to read that line, right?
CSV Reader.
CSV Reader kadu. CSV Reader is done. You don't worry about CSV Reader now. So I am talking about the split function of to split the comma separated list. Okay, I will tell you. Don't worry. Split function in Java. So I always refer to Google Internet just to. I don't remember everything. I don't keep everything in memory. Okay, I'm just checking the split function specification. So I'm checking it in another window. That's why I'm not able to see it. Okay, that's it. Very simple. Okay, so your line, right? Your line is what? Where is the line? Line is present in this variable line, right? So what I'm going to do? So how is the line? See, let's take an example, right? So this is your line. Okay, let me put it in a comma as a comment. So you need to break this line like this. Right, so you need to split. So for that, we need to use a function called as split. So how do you use that? On the variable which contains the string, you call split. Okay, and you should give the separator. So what is the separator here? It is semicolon, it's not a comma. Okay. So I need to give comma. Semicolon. So on what does it return? Split function. Split function returns actually array of strings. Okay, so array of string is declared how? String. Okay. So let me call it as fields. Okay, so done. You have split. So you have done this splitting now. Okay, now I am going to. So where is the first field? Okay, string of 0. So string of 0 into the fields of 0. So the fields of 0 will contain this Lara example.com. right? Am I correct? Okay, so fields of see after breaking, right? After breaking this line, the split will do that break. It will use separator semicolon and break this line and store them into fields. Okay, so then you have this the fields of 3. So it will this will contain 2070. Then Laura will contain. So this is the first name. This is the last name. So it will be present like this in the fields array. It is a string array. So now what I need to do? I need to populate the Pojo object. Email dot set login email. It will be present in where? It will be present in fields of 0. Okay. Now you have completed the test case. See, what does your test case require? Your test case requires the first element, the second zero, the element at index 1 should contain lauraexample.com and the last element should contain jamieexample.com. So apart, so what we have done, we have filled up the fields, we have filled up the emails into the objects, but we have not filled other things. We will test those things as well. So now this test case should pass because you have filled in all the emails and the objects will contain the emails. Now let's run that test case. Go to this and run it. This should pass. It's failed. Why? Okay. Maybe I have missed something. Okay, sorry. This should be for the last item, right? The last item, the email is different. The last item, right? So assert the being flown in amped. No, it is fine. It's fine. But why is this showing Craig sample? See, this is the beauty. You have written a wrong code. Okay, it has a bug. Expected to first danట్లో Laura example.com ఉండాలి, but you are getting criedexample.com. That means you are getting this item. You are not getting this item. Why? There is a bug in the code. So let's examine our code. Okay. So what am I doing? Everything looks okay here. Email.add fields of 0 none. Okay, now let's do a single step debugging and let's find out what is the issue. It will be interesting. Let's go to the test case. Okay, put a breakpoint here, run a debug. So I am showing you how we actually develop it. So నేనైతే ఇలాగే డెవలప్ చేస్తాను. So I'm writing the code, I'm testing it immediately. I won't write all the code in the project and then test. So test-driven approach. Okay, so the breakpoint has come here. So now I will show OCs. I showed you what is step over, right? Step over ante a function execute chesi next line ki vastundi. Ante ee line ki ravali. So step over, step into ante function loki veltundi. So let's check the last one, run to cursor. Ante em cheyalante, see wherever the control you want to go. So I want the control 10 more minutes. I want the control to come here in this particular line. So what I will do is I will say run to cursor. So place the cursor where the control has to come. Okay, I am placing this here because I want to jump all these lines. Okay, and I will say run to cursor. See, it has come here. Has it come here? No. Okay, we will test it again. Okay, this will fail. It has failed. Let me run it again. Okay, go to this, run the test. Oh man, what did I do? I should have debugged it. Run to cursor, what I didn't do is I should have kept the breakpoint and run the cursor, place the cursor there. I didn't do that. Okay, now the control is here. Let me move this here and place a breakpoint here. Okay, so because I want to get into this function, this is what we need to test. Place a cursor here. Okay, and we should put a breakpoint here. So this column lo vachi ikkada click cheste breakpoint vastundi. So then you go to run the cursor. See, the control has come here. Okay, now I want to get into this function. So call step into. So, okay, it has come here. Now let's debug step by step. Line number 0. So it is equal to 0. What it will do? Line plus equals 1. Okay, so we have skipped the first line. Next. So line is 1. So it will come to else. Okay. So what is the file? So line lo emundi, line lo the contents undi laraexample.com 2070 lara and gray. So now I will do a step over. Okay, so split ayindi ippudu. Split ayin tarvata fields lo undali data anta. Okay, so fields lo chudandi first dantlo 0 laraexample.com 2070. So split ayindi. So all these line items are split into individual array items, okay, in the fields. Now I am creating an email object and putting the login email here in this particular object and adding to the email list. Okay, so now let's do step over. Okay, so now email list I'm going to add. So email list lo ennunayo one object undi inka oka line process ayindi. So only one line is processed. You can see we are filling only one field. The all other fields are null. We are not setting it, right? So the first element. Now let's go and check the second time. It comes here. So next time it has actually read the fields ni split cheskondi. Craig undi 4010 Craig Johnson. So inko email object create chestunna. Set login email Craig. So anta undi intloni. Okay, then I am adding to the list, email list. See how beautifully you are seeing the execution. Okay, so let's example. So first dantlo Lara undi, next dantlo Gray. Next, step over. Okay, so third element I've added. So third element so check cheskondi. See, I'm showing it to you because you are seeing it for the first time. Okay, so ila break aita object leki push chestanu. You are converting it. Okay, email list lo 4 items వచ్చేసాయి. So all the 4 emails have come. So actually the data correct ga fill up అవుతుంది. There is no bug here. Okay, so now let's return. So ikkada return వచ్చింది. Return అయిన తర్వాత ఇక్కడ సేవ్ అయింది email list లో. Let's see this. So ikkada కూడాను అంత కరెక్ట్ గానే ఉంది, but the test case is failing. Why? See, correct ga fill అయిందా? Okay. Then email list dot get email. So what is the problem here? We need to check. First one fail అవుతుంది. Okay. That's the problem I will tell you. See, the indexes are the problem. See, first element ni check cheyali nenu. See, even though నేను ఫస్ట్ టైం ఏం చేశాను, I didn't ignore the first line, right? So ఇప్పుడు ignore చేసిన తర్వాత this item will not be there, right? In the list లో ఉండదు. So ఇక్కడ this 0th element because we are ignoring the first line, right? 2, 3. So you can see that, right? So the first element, that element at 0 contains Laura, right? So this should be 0. So first line lo Laura undali, last line lo ఇది JV undali. That's it, done. Okay, let me run this test case. So run. Stop on return. So this should pass. Pass kalega. లేదు ఇంకా రన్ అవుతా. Okay, it is passed. Green color వచ్చింది. Green color వస్తే pass అని. Okay, so now this is still not right because we are not filled the other fields. So let's test the other fields as well. So same object ki నేను ఏం చేశాను, I will test the other fields. So other fields లో identifier వచ్చేసి, so let's not do our identifier, we'll do the first name. Okay, so the first name లో Lara ఉండాలి, ఇక్కడ Jamie ఉండాలి. So this is the first name. Okay, and I will change this to dot get first name. So ఆ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ లో ఆ ఫీల్డ్స్ ని టెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను, అంటే అది ఫిల్ అవుతా ఉందా లేదో కరెక్ట్ గా అని చెక్ చేయడం. సో వీఆర్ టెస్టింగ్ ఇట్ ఇమీడియట్లీ. గెట్ ఫస్ట్ నేమ్. ఓకే, సో దిస్ టెస్ట్ కేస్ షుడ్ ఫెయిల్ బికాస్ దే కంటైన్ నల్. సో ఇప్పుడు ఐఎమ్ మేకింగ్ ద టెస్ట్ కేస్ ఫెయిల్. Okay, so the test case has failed, right? Now let's go and fix the code. So go to email converter, then you set the email dot fields of ekkada undi first name 2 lo undi, fields of 2 lo email undi. Okay, so sorry, the first name. Now the test case should pass. I have modified the change. Now you go and run the test case again. Go and run the test case again, it should pass. So I'm adding additional condition to the test case. I'm making the code to fail that test case. After failing, I'm fixing the code, writing the code to pass it. So see, this is an iterative development which is called as test-driven development. Okay, so this has failed. Why it has failed? Zero problem. Now example.com. Expected to Lara. Okay. I mean, I'm not filled in properly. See, this is the beauty. Okay. ఇక్కడ చూడండి, set first name అంతే. చూసారా? సో ఏదైనా ప్రాబ్లం ఉంటే ఇక్కడ తెలిసిపోతుంది మీకు. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద బ్యూటీ ఆఫ్ టెస్ట్ డ్రివెన్ డెవలప్మెంట్. So you are writing the correct code. If you follow this approach, right, always your code will be tested. You need to write proper test cases, that's all. So writing test cases is not easy. That needs some experience like this. Now it has passed. Okay. So now let's add few more test cases. So I want, okay, one more, less than 1 minute. Okay, so we don't have time now. So we will have the meeting, next meeting, probably later in the night.